Welcome back. Today I'm continuing my journey through Band-Maid's music catalog, and I'm going to start with the songs on Unseen World, which is the album that followed the single Different. Different included the song Different and Don't Be Long, which I did in my last video, and interestingly, they're not contained on this album. At least in my experience, usually when a band or an artist released a single, their next album includes that song or the songs that were on the single, but this one doesn't. As far as I can tell, they're all new songs, which is exciting. It was released about 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks after the Different single. But before I get going, I want to address a couple of mistakes I made in my previous video. For one, I said that Different was their first song written for an anime, and I had completely forgotten about Glory, and I'm pretty sure that I knew that, but it just slipped my mind when I was recording my previous video. And for the life of me, I can't remember the other mistake that I made, but maybe I should do like some of those news shows do and run a list of corrections and retractions here at the end of this video if I can think of them all. And I have pulled up the official music video for Warning, which is the first song on Unseen World. I do remember this song. I remember that it was fast tempoed. I remember that there were cars, automobiles in the music video. And I'm pretty sure I remember there were some trade-offs between the vocals between Miku and Saiki. So anyway, now that I have my headphones on, let's just go and see what Warning has to offer. But again, if I remember right, it's a great way to open an album. But wait, I just remembered the other mistake or omission that I made in my previous video. It was when I was talking about the big gap of time between their previous release and the single Different. For some reason, I completely forgot about the pandemic while I was recording that video, and that was definitely partially to blame for that huge gap in their new releases. There was obviously a time when they couldn't get together to rehearse. There was definitely a time period where travel was restricted and live shows were restricted and so on. So during that time, a bunch of writing and percolation took place, apparently, and that they were ready with Different and this entire album, Unseen World, as soon as they were able to get together to put music together. Anyway, let's just go. This is Band-Maid, Warning, official music video. You can see that I've already liked it. Oh yeah, I forgot. It opens with this pre-recorded sound. Kind of like a music box. Okay, wow, that was not nothing much. That was a lot of much. And I think when I was talking about the trade-off vocals between Miku and Saiki, what I was remembering was the part you just heard where there's just words interspersed. Miku's little interjections are popping in there between some of the other lines, and those kind of give me chills, just the way that they're composed, the way that they sound. And even though I know that they're just intentionally recording a music video here, they're not actually doing a practice or performance. Obviously, they're playing through, but you know, it's not the same, but it looks like they are. And I love that when a band or an artist can really pull off that sense that they're really playing this song. Konami, for example, looked like she was really into it. I'm not sure what the automobiles racing or driving around in this area have to do with the message of the song. Maybe it was just something fun that was thought of for the video. And yes, I definitely forgot about the music box sound at the beginning of it, which is kind of a cool idea. It makes it sound like it's going to start off maybe more mid-tempoed song, but it also builds a sense of anticipation, just the way that the notes were selected. It's just perfect. I don't remember exactly where the music comes in, but we're going to back up and go through that intro again because it's just hard-hitting. Great way to start an album. know we've talked a lot about Akane's drumming ability coming a long way in their previous albums. You can tell a difference from the first album to the second and so on. But here, I feel like she's taken that up a notch again, at least in this song. There are just a lot of really quick and precise fills in between lines that didn't have to be there, but she's able to do it. Whether she suggested those or Konami insisted on it, we have no idea, but they really add a lot of energy to the song. And in parts of the first verse, the drum beat there just chattering, basically. It was going so fast. And as always, Psyche's voice, Miku's voice, it's on point. It's perfect for this energy. Backing up just a few seconds. Okay, the drum beats were going very fast there again, and I remember reading somewhere that Konami is afraid of heights, and so I just want to applaud her bravery for getting up on the car. This, of course, is Misa here, but I believe it was Konami that I was told was afraid of heights, and so she just closes her eyes when they put her up on something high, but she always seems to end up someplace like that. And in that previous scene where she was on top of the car, we can only see her face in 2 frames, so just a very small fraction of a second, but her eyes are closed in this frame, and her eyes are closed in the next frame. And I would go so far as to say that she looks very concerned in both of those, but it is certainly a fun idea to place the band members up on the cars and drive them around. I do notice, I'm pretty sure there's only the 3 of them though. It's just Misa and Akane in the one vehicle, and then Konami on this other one. Psyche, of course, gets to ride inside the car. We all understand that. I guess Miku just didn't need a ride? Is that because she's running? Making a reference, of course, to Don't Let Me Down, where she runs back and forth across the entirety of Tokyo, as far as I can tell. Also, rumor has it that she can also fly, so maybe she doesn't need vehicles. Anyway. No, I saw her face in a couple of more frames. I just wanted to check that out here. Yeah, her eyes are closed again in those 3 frames there. Oh, nope, we got a little bit of an open eye there for just a second, but she's definitely looking up at the sky, and then her face is gone. And it comes back, but her eyes closed, and then we switch to a different angle, feet firmly planted on the roof of the car. I don't know if her face is showing in this one at all. No, it just goes around until the car already has some dents in it there from a previous collision. But anyway, I just caught her face again. Let's go. I remember when hearing this song for the first time that line that I'm backing up to right now, we all carry burdens in our own image. I remember that line really striking me and hitting me in a soft spot in my heart. And whether or not it's a perfect translation, I have no idea. But it is true to the extent that I'm understanding it, that each of us has our own trials, our own burdens, and they're all shaped around us. And what seems like a trial or a burden to me might not seem like it to you. You might be like, oh no, that's fine. I do that every day. But to me, it seems really difficult, and vice versa. Not to mention the uncomfortable fact that many of our trials and burdens are often of our own making, and it also makes me think about that too. I don't think I've changed any audio settings since the last time I did one of these videos, but I am not detecting as much bass in this video as I had hoped to. All the other instruments are standing out pretty clear. I definitely caught a nice scrape or or slide that Miku did. The drums are coming through loud and clear, and the vocals, of course, sound really separated to me in these headphones, and they both sound really good. I'm hearing the bass there. It's just not as prominent as I'm used to in Band-Maid songs. But anyway, let's keep going. I'm pretty sure these cars are going to have some sort of incident here in a few moments. Okay, as usual, I'm going to go back and catch the guitar solo again, and there were some powerful vocal lines before that, such as, "You can't control me, I take control of my own life," which fits very well with Band-Maid's theme of, taking charge of oneself and, doing what you want to do and doing it well. I also thought I got an image of Miku there without her guitar, but I might have been mistaken. Let's go. Yeah, it was only in for a few frames, but Miku definitely put down her guitar for a moment to do the vocal parts behind the guitar solo. And maybe there isn't a rhythm guitar part behind this solo. I honestly can't tell sometimes because my brain is focusing on the solo and the vocals. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. And I do apologize for interrupting a Konami solo, but I did let it play all the way through the first time. And this time I was just looking for a couple of instances. Let's go. Okay, well, just a couple of things to add. I did hear the bass at some point there. I looked at the camera trying to indicate that I did hear the bass at that point. I also saw another scene where Miku didn't have the guitar. And I did find it interesting that the video editors put the scenes of the already crashed, burned out cars before they showed the crash, which is a little interesting from a storytelling point of view. Although the way they were driving, we could probably assume that they were going to crash at some point. Anyway, I have no complaints about that song whatsoever. It is definitely a pick-me-up, energetic song. Great way to open an album. My only very slight nitpick would be to maybe boost the bass a little bit in the editing. Well, I mean, the production, as they're mixing the sounds, whatever that's called. You know what I mean. There is an official live video of Warning, which I want to hear because very often those mixes are slightly different. I have pulled that up here. This one, I believe, was from an online concert, just as with the last couple of lives that we watched. So there's no crowd other than camera people, light people, and mixologists, so to speak. And I believe this online concert was just about a month, maybe less than a month after the album was released. And since this song didn't come out as a single, I don't know if this was one of their very earliest performances of it or not. But let's give it a listen. Sorry, right off the bat, I have to pause. The bass is definitely elevated in this mix, as is often the case with their live mixes. As soon as the instruments came in, I heard the bass, which I was missing, even though I was looking for it in the official music video. Sorry, I'm going to back up a few seconds. That little bass part right there, I completely missed in the official audio. There must have been a little private joke happening there for just a second. We saw Psyche kind of grinning and several of the other members kind of, winking and nodding at each other as if something had happened that I completely missed. But again, I'm noticing Akane's just really speedy, precise fills throughout this song, and it's amazing. And I definitely, not being a drummer, assume that it's a step up from what she was showing us on previous albums. And I know I'm not the first person to say this, and it's probably not the first time that I will say this, but whoever is mixing most of these live videos, not all of them, we've heard a few that are bad, but most of them, the mix is, to me, so much better than the official music videos and the audio on the albums. It makes me wonder, do they have two separate teams that do the mixing for that? And if so, can we pay one of them more to do the other job? I don't know how that works. I've never been a professional musician or worked in those, those kind of situations. And obviously the recording process is different when you're here with all the instruments playing at the same time, feeding through, I assume, a soundboard of some kind, rather than in a studio where each member can lay down a track separately. Whatever the case may be, I wish that they would do some of their official audio, album audio or single audio mixed the way that they mix these live shows. Let's keep going. All right, just two things about the solo. One, I heard the bass guitar throughout that one this time. And two, Kanami looks much more comfortable not being on a roof of a burning car or strapped to a moving vehicle. And as much as I enjoy seeing her strapped to a moving vehicle while she's doing that, or on top of a burning car, whatnot, I personally want her to be wherever she feels most comfortable to deliver us this kind of music time after time. And thank goodness she does that a lot. All right, looks like we have maybe a minute to go. Let's go. Oh, yeah, I definitely think that Misa has more friends on the mixing crew for the live shows than she does for the studio crews. Audio improvements aside, I didn't appreciate this live video as much as I do some of theirs. Obviously, their emotion is toned a little bit because there's no crowd present to feed off of, although it did look like they were having a good time. In this case, the music video visually was more interesting to me with, the cars and the explosions and so on. Now, before I wrap this up, I'm going to listen to Warning one more time. I'll understand if you drop out at this point, leave a comment, and I'll see you next time. But I found a video that says it's Warning with Akane cam only. And as much as I enjoyed the elevated bass in the live video, to me, the most impressive member for this song, as far as improvement upon stuff, unexpected improvement that we didn't know was going to happen from previous songs, I would have to say that Akane is a standout here. So I'm going to watch it. And feel free to come along. Here we go. Is this from the same live show? Yeah, I think this might be from the same online concert that we just watched, except it's just using, this cam here on Akane. It is really interesting to watch. And of course, it would be cool to have such a thing for each member, just, one camera that's on Psyche the whole time and so forth. And there probably is. It's just that they cut that footage and we never get to see it. I love the little switches, the little subtle switches between just pure joy and then joy mixed with utter concentration, which some of these parts have to require. Backing up a few seconds and let's just keep going. Like here, I feel like there's utter joy, but then there are a couple of places where you could tell the set of her mouth changes, the intensity in her eyes changes, where this is focus beyond belief and beyond the experience of many of us, I'm sure. Oh my goodness. I just spent a minute going back and forth through that last little section frame by frame, and there are so many tiny changes in her expression, as I already mentioned, but it's really remarkable if you ever get to go to this video and go through frame by frame, where you can see that the change from the focus and the concentration to the utter joy like this. And also, strangely enough, perhaps because I am focused visually on just one thing and there's not a bunch of flashing, cutting images changing back and forth, I'm able to hear some of the other instruments that I missed in the previous live version, even though I think it's the same audio. There were a couple of places where the bass guitar stood out here and Konami's guitar was roving in the background while Saiki was singing, and I assume the same would be true about the drums. If I was focused on one of the other members the entire time, I would hear parts here that I'm not hearing here for one reason or another. It's funny how the brain works. Now I think we're coming up on the very small part that doesn't have any drums, so I'm curious as to what this cam's going to show during that time. I love that she appeared to be shouting or singing out with Saiki and Miku maybe during that part where they were shouting during the guitar solo, the whoa-whoa parts. I also heard a part of the guitar solo that I didn't hear before, even though I'm sure I heard it before. It just didn't register in my brain, and bass things too. It just incredible musicianship all throughout. Again, looks like I have about a minute to go. Let's finish this out. All right, well, that was something else, and I'm glad I got to see it. I think I saw some other song on a search one time where it said it was the Saiki cam only, and I'm curious about that. As I think I mentioned when I watched a couple of the White Room videos, it would be really cool to just have that option here on YouTube, you know, to watch just Miku for an entire song and just Saiki for an entire song and so on. And several of you have commented and said that there are Blu-rays or DVDs where that's possible. You can choose which view you have, which I think would be amazing. I just have a harder time than some people finding some of these products that are supposedly out there. It also seems like whenever I find out about a new Band-Maid product, whether it's, you know, merch or a DVD or whatever, that I go to their website and the store is closed. But I also admit I'm not checking it constantly. I'm much more likely to just be enjoying their music and when I have time to sit down enjoying these videos. And I also enjoy spending time with you, even though we're in two separate time periods. I would have to be a time traveler to be doing this at the same time that you're watching it, but I appreciate you being here and I hope to see you next time.